Hi besties, welcome back to the channel. This is So with Somi. On today's tutorial, I'll be showing how I made this off-shoulder tube dress with a kimono jacket. If this is your first time here, welcome, like, share and subscribe. So for this tutorial, I made use of 6 yards of Ankara fabric. Here I have my pattern and I've marked out my starting line. This is an off-shoulder top, an off-shoulder gown. I went up by 5 inches, came down 10 inches for my bust point, 13 for my under bust, and I marked 17 for my waist. So my actual waist is 16 inches. I added 1 inch extra allowance to that. So all I'm doing here now is just to roll out my line so that we can have a straight line to work with. So here, this is my waistline, my under bust, and my bust points. So now I impute my nipple to nipple measurement, which is 4.5. So mine is 9 divided by 2 give you 4.5, and I mark that on the waist, on the under bust, and on the bust points, and I connected the lines. Now on the bust line, I'll add 1 inch to that 4.5. So I'll be marking 5.5 inches at the upper part, and I'll connect it to the bust line this way. Now for my dart intake, on the part going to the center front, I marked half an inch. On the part going to the armhole side, I marked 1.5 inches, and I'll connect the points to the under bust. So the part going to the center front, I marked half an inch. So from the bust line, I'll come down 1 inch From the bust point, I came down 1 inch. This will help our bust to sit properly. So I use a straight ruler to connect the half an inch to that 1 inch. I'll use my curve ruler to connect to that 1 inch I came down from the bust line. Now for my upper bust tightening, on the part going to the center front, I'll mark 1 inch. On the part going to the armhole side, I'll mark 3/4 of an inch. On the bust point, I'll come up by 1 inch. This will just help our bust sit properly, and I'll connect the lines this way. So just watch carefully, it's very easy. I'll just cover out my lines. So this is what I have. So all I'll do now is to impute my round measurement. So I'll impute my round bust by 4. I'll divide my round bust by 4. I'll replace the dart I have there, and I'll add my stitching allowance. Now I'm going to divide my round waist by 4. I'll replace the 2 inches that I have there. I'll mark my stitching allowance. So at the upper part, I was just rechecking what I have there, the measurement, to be sure that my measurement is correct. So there was a mistake, so all I did here was just to correct the mistake. After getting my measurement, I'll connect the lines together. So this is what we have. So this is a tube dress. I don't want it to be poking me on the armhole, so I'll be coming down by half an inch, and I'll connect that back to the bust line this way. Now I'm going to get my sweetheart neckline. So from the bust line, I'll come down by 2 inches. So depending on how deep you want yours to be, you can make it 2.53 inches, but I want mine not too deep. So I use my curve ruler to connect from the dart line to the 2 inches I came down from the bust line. So now this is what we have. This is how easy it is to draft out your pattern. The next thing we're going to do now is just to cut out this pattern. It's that easy. So guys, if you have watched up to this point, please don't forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel. And if you request any of my videos, you can send me a picture at So with Somi on Instagram. So after cutting out, this is what I have. So this is for my side front, and this is for my center front, and my center front will be cutting it out on fold. Now this is for my back piece. I've marked out my starting line, and I added 1 inch zipper allowance to that. So just like we did for the front, I'll go up by 5 inches. I came down 10 inches for my bust points, and my waist is 17 inches, and I roll out the lines. So now I'll be ruling my nipple to nipple measurement, which is 4.5. I mark that on the waistline and on the chest line, on the bust points. I'll connect the 2 lines together. Now the dart intake, I'll be making it of 5 inches. That is half an inch on both sides, making it a dart of 1 inch. Half an inch on both sides, making it a dart of 1 inch. So now I'm going to take my round bust measurement, which is 9 divided by 4 give me 9, and I added my stitching allowance. Now on the waistline, I'll divide my round waist by 4. I'll replace the darts and I'll mark my stitching allowance. I'll connect the measurements together. Now this is what we have. So now I'll come down half an inch on the armhole side, just like I did for the front. This will help your armpits to help your dress not to poke into your armpits. Now I'm going to cut out the excess we have. So now this is what I have. Let's do our zipper adjustments. I'll come out by half an inch and I'll slant it back into the waistline this way. So this will help your back to sit properly, the zipper to sit properly without it bulging. Now I'm going to cut off the excess I have there. So still on the zipper adjustment, I'll go up from the waistline by 1 inch and I'll slant it back to the waistline this way. This is just to make your zip sit properly on your waist, and I'll cut off that little piece I have there. So for this next part is just optional. So I want my back to be a little bit lower. So I came down from the zipper allowance by 1 inch and I connected it back to the upper part this way. So this is optional. If you don't want it this way, you are done cutting out your pattern. But I wanted it a little bit lower, so I came down from the zipper allowance by 1 inch and I connected it back to the upper part this way. So now our patterns are ready. The next thing we're going to do, take it to the fabric to cut it out. So this is what I have. This is my center front. I added half an inch on the side and it is on fold. So for the side, I equally added half an inch on the side. So now open up our center front. Remember I said we'll cut on fold. So if you watch it carefully, I have the main piece and the lining. So I'll keep this lining aside. So this is for my main piece. I added stay to it. So if you want to add pad, you can add. So currently I do not have pad at home, so I added a thick stay to that. So I have the main piece and the lining. Now this is how we'll be joining it. We'll place it right side facing each other. You see the way I'm placing it, right side facing each other. So I'm going to use a pin to hold it. So now this is how we are going to place it. We'll take it to the machine just this way. We stitch it with half an inch. Now we're going to bring the other part to right side facing each other. We'll take it to the machine to stitch. Now this is for the lining, so whatever we'll do for the main piece, we'll do for the lining. Now I'm going to get my back piece. So I equally added a hard stay to it, and this is the lining. So I'll open it up this way. So this is for my darts. Remember to notch your darts. Remember to notch it on your fabric. So I've notched my darts. So I'm going to place the lining on it. I equally notched the darts for the lining. I'll place it this way. I'll stitch the upper part. I'll stitch this side. I'll do the same for the other side. I'll use half an inch to stitch the upper part. I'll stitch the side. So after stitching, this is what I have. So I took the I took the darts up all the way to the upper part. The darts got to the upper part. So this is for the back piece, and this is for my front piece. Do you see how it's standing even without the pad? So if you want to add a pad to yours, you're free. So the next thing I'm going to do now, I'm going to notch it all around so that it will sit properly. So after notching, I'll get my tailor's ham. I'll place it on it. I'll open up the seam. I'll iron it down with my iron. This will help your bust points and everything to lay flat. So after ironing out, this is what it looks like. Everything. So I'm going to get the lining. I'll place them right side facing each other. I'll stitch the upper parts with half an inch. I'll stitch the sides with half an inch. I'll do that and bring it back. So after stitching, this is how beautiful it came out looking. Everything is looking quite neat, and these are the two back pieces, and I've closed my zipper allowance. So I'm going to place the two of them right side facing each other. I'll take it to the machine to take in my allowance. So after taking out my allowance, this is what I have. Everything is looking nice, and this is for my lower part. So guys, they are on the description box. I dropped a link on where to watch how to draft a basic skirt, and the only difference here is that I added lining, and the lining is shorter with 2 inches It's shorter by 2 inches from the main piece. So now I'm going to take it to the machine to join the upper part and the lower part together using 1/2 inch. Then I'll add my zipper. So after joining, this is how everything came out, looking so beautiful. So if I turn the other part of it, so this is the back. So if I turn the back, this is how my zip is sitting. If you open it up, this is how the inside looks. I will just use a weaving machine to weave the waist side. So now this is how everything is looking. The next thing we're going to do now is to draft out our kimono. So for my kimono, I've placed my fabric into 4. So if you count it, this is 1, 2, 3, 4. It's on fold. I folded it into 4. The upper part is closed and the side is closed. So now next thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to mark my neck width, which is 3.5 inches. I came down 1.5 inches for the back neckline. The neck width is 3.5 inches and the back neckline is 1.5. I'll connect the points together this way. So this is what I have. So for the front, I'm going to come down by 15 inches for the front neckline. Now connect from that 3.5 inches to that 15 inches I came down with. So guys, I'm so sorry, my table is very small, but I hope to get a bigger one. Now this is what I have. So now on the upper part, I'll place my tape and I'll come down by 14 inches. This is how wide I want my sleeve to be. So if you don't want it to be as wide as mine, you can make use of 12, you can make use of 11. But I want my sleeve to be wide, so I came down by 15 inches from the shoulder line. I came down by 14 inches from the shoulder line. I came down 14 inches from the shoulder line. And I connected into a straight line. So this is what I have. Under 14 inches, I'll mark my round hip measurement divided by 4, which is 10. And I added extra 3 inches allowance. So depending on how wide and how big you want it to be, you can add the allowance you want. So I added 3 inches allowance. So now this is what I have. So on the 14 inches mark, I came up by 1 inch. On the 14 inches line, I came up by 1 inch. So from that 1 inch, I'll be covering it into the 3 inches allowance I marked. So this is for my armhole. So from the 14 inches, I went up by 1 inch. So that 1 inch, I connected it back to the 3 inches allowance I added. So now, I'll measure what I have there. I have 13 inches. So all I'll do now is to take that 13 inches all the way down to the full length. So the 13 inches, I took it all the way down to the full length. So just watch carefully. So if there's any part you don't understand, you can ask me questions. So after marking it out, I measured and it was not up to 13 inches. So all I'm doing here is measuring it into 13 so that I can have a straight line. So after getting the 13 inches, I reconnected. Now this is what I have. All I have to do now is just to cut out. So after cutting out, this is what I have. I'll cut off the back neckline first. Then I'll open up my fabric. So if you open it up, you see that all the sides, the center is closed, only the sides are open and the shoulder line is equally closed. So now we're going to fold it into 2 so that we can cut out our front neckline. So watch how I'm doing it. I folded it into 2 this way. So all I'm doing here is just arranging it properly. I folded into 2. So just arrange your fabric very well. Make sure that every sides are matching. The sides, the armhole, everything is matching. So after getting that, all I'll do here now is just to cut off the front neckline. Then I'll split it open down to the hem of the dress this way. So after splitting it open, this is what it looks like. So I've placed it on fold, like I've placed it together. This is what it looks like. This is it. Now this is a band. If you watch the kimono very well, it has a band on the sleeve. So this is the band I've cut out. The length is 5 inches and I'll fold it into 2. I'll take it to the machine. I'll join it to the sleeve using 1/2 inch. I'll do that for the 2 sleeves. I'll bring it back to show you what I have. So after started joining my sleeves, this is what it looks like. I've joined both the two sleeves, so I'll take it to the machine. I'll stitch the side with 1 inch down to the full length. I'll use 1 inch to stitch down to the full length, and I'll equally do the same for the other side of the sleeve. I'll join them together. I'll use 1 inch to stitch all the way down to the full length, all the way down. I'll do that and bring it back. So guys, I'm so sorry, I lost a clip of when I added the band. So all I did here was I measured around the neckline. I got 120. I cut out a band for it, and the width was 3 inches. I added it. After adding it, then I hemmed my dress all round. So this is all I did here, and that is how easy it is to draft out a kimono jacket. So the next thing I'm going to do now is when NEPA bring lights, I'll take it to the ironing table and I'll iron it properly. So guys, thank you guys so much for tuning up to this point. Do not forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you on my next video. Bye.